Ready tonight. I want to welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys coming tonight, and we'll go ahead and have the opening prayer and then the pledge of allegiance to the flag, if you don't mind standing.
Let us pray. Most gracious Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we pray for our community, especially those that are grieving, the grieving families that have lost a loved one. Father God, we lift up the Dyer and Larimore family to you on today. Matthew 5:4 states that blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Lord, we ask that you comfort these families. We ask that you comfort our community. We ask that you bless each and every family in Talbot County. Lord, give this council wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to make decisions according to thy will. Let us govern ourselves in a manner pleasing to you. Bless this council and everyone in this room this evening. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the agenda tonight is before us on June 13th. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, we have
Okay.
two amendments to the agenda. One item, we want to remove the Visitor Center construction bill so that we can come back at our next meeting with a title that is properly reflected of the project. And then we would like to remove the bid request 22-19, Resolution 235 at this time.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion second to go ahead and change the agenda. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. So, Madam Secretary, would you mind just reading that back, what's going to be added or taken off the agenda?
You're removing item number 1 under introduction of legislation regarding the Talbot County Visitor Center. And you're removing item from the county manager's report, request from Department of Public Works, recommendation to award bid number 2219, Phase 2 for Resolution 235.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Just want to make sure that was all clear to everybody. Okay, next on the agenda is the minutes. The council has had the minutes in front of them. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes?
No.
Okay, hearing none, the chair moves that the minutes be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay, next on the agenda is disbursements. The council has had the disbursements of May 30th, June 6th, and June 13th. We've had a chance to take a look at them. Is there any deletions, additions, or corrections to the disbursements? Okay, hearing none, the chair moves that the disbursements be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay, all right, first up today, or tonight, is the proclamation of 340 Bellevue Ferry. So you want to come on up, both you guys? You want to come up? Yeah. Yeah. You can share. Yeah. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read that into the record, please?
Proclamation in commemoration of the 340th anniversary of the establishment of the Oxford Bellevue Ferry. Whereas on November 20th, 1683, Talbot County authorized the establishment of a ferry service to transport horses and men between the points of Oxford and Bellevue, Maryland, on the Tredeavon River. And the ferry, now known as the Oxford Bellevue Ferry, was first operated as the Tredeavon Ferry by Richard Royston, a founding father of the town of Oxford. And whereas, since the late 1690s, when the ferry ceased to be publicly financed, it has been privately owned, and as such is believed to be the nation's oldest privately operated ferry service. And whereas, during its long history, the ferry has transformed from a wooden scow structure propelled by sculling to a coal-fired steam tug and barge carrying horses and wagons, to wooden vessels powered first by gasoline, then diesel. And whereas the current steel ferry boat named Talbot carries passengers and all types of vehicles, including bicycles, helping the Easton Oxford St. Michael's Bike Loop earn the distinction of one of the top 25 bicycle routes in America. And whereas throughout its 340 years of operation as both a public and private entity, the ferry has continued a tradition of having both men and women as its proprietors, including its present owners, Captains Judy and Tom Bixler, who have owned and operated the ferry since 2002. Now therefore, we, the County Council of Talbot County, do hereby recognize the Oxford Bellevue Ferry for its 340 years of service to the citizens and visitors of Talbot County, and wish the ferry, a Talbot County institution, and its present and future owners many more years of successful operation. Given under our hands in the Great Seal of Talbot County this 13th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, a motion and second to go ahead and put the proclamation as presented. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Welcome.
I haven't been here 340 years,
If so, you look really good, I'll tell you.
but the ferry is an institution, and we're very proud of
Yeah.
the 22 years that we have served the county. I remember sitting here when we did first come in and get the ferry, and we were told that we were only the keepers of the ferry, that it was really the county's ferry, and that's the way everyone felt about it. And we still feel that way, that it is the county's ferry, it is an icon. And I have great news that today the Coast Guard was there for our annual inspection, and we passed with flying colors. We have one of the best records on the East Coast. We are one of only 3 vessels that have 24 years of perfect inspections, which is an amazing feat, because they check everything from the date of the aspirin down to every working mechanism within the ferry. So
Wow.
we're very proud of that.
That's good.
Unfortunately, Tom had to go meet one of the captains. There was an issue at the landing, so
I got
he
you.
wasn't able to be here this evening.
Okay.
That happened as we were pulling out of the driveway. So it's a 24/7
That's
job.
good.
We never
Yeah.
seem to have a piece of that.
Yeah,
But,
that's
and we
great.
are in the process of trying to find a successor, because I'm not 340 years old, but I'm not getting younger, so it's
Yeah.
time to find the right person that's going to treat the ferry the way we do.
That's great.
It's very special, something to us
It
and
is.
to the county.
Yeah,
And we're
sure
proud of
is.
it.
Sure.
And thank you for all that you do to help keep it going, because the Bellevue Landing is supported by the council,
Right.
and the Oxford Landing is by the state, so I have lots of masters that keep
Yeah.
us going.
That's good.
Thank you.
So we are so lucky to have Captains Judy and
Yeah.
Tom Bixler living in our county. They're one of those couples who came here on their sailboat and fell in love and bought the ferry, and are here and have invested their time and resources into our county. And Judy has served faithfully on the tourism board for all of my 10 years. She stood by me through thick and thin, and she also is still the state tourism board chairman. So she serves at every level, and we're just so blessed to have the Bixlers here. I love them dearly, and they love Talbot County, and that's what really matters.
Yeah.
So thank you for acknowledging their service.
Yep. Council? Casey?
Well, certainly you do a great job with the Oxford Bellevue Ferry, and whenever people come in town, that's what we take, the Oxford Bellevue Ferry from one place to the other side. So thank you for all that you do serving the state on the State Tourism Board as well as Talbot County Tourism. You are greatly appreciated.
Ditto. You are iconic, and I was a little sad to hear that you might have to be moving on.
We're not moving away, we're just leaving the 24/7 responsibility, so don't panic. I'll still be here.
So sorry to hear
Because I don't
that.
have to
You
be
will
tied
be
to a desk,
missed.
so I
That's
can't-
right.
so I
You will
can't
be
leave-
missed,
can't
but
leave her
I'm
board
sure you'll
anyway.
find a great successor. Thank you.
I think as a youth, I crossed the old wooden self-propelled ferry, which held far fewer cars. I believe you have a record of, 18 Mini Coopers crossing, but I was also witness to the tour de Talbot, and I'm curious, how many bicyclists can you fit aboard the Oxford Bellevue Fair?
We have a limit of 99, so we had to leave some on the dock.
So, but you were 99.
On the vessel, yes.
Okay.
There were a number of loads this weekend, so it was very exciting. The Tour de Talbot was a great success, and I think all of the cyclists had a wonderful time.
It was a sight to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for and of course that's more tourism that you are bringing to Talbot County. So thank you for all your good work on that front.
Captain Judy, thank you for just keeping this alive.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. It is it's a Talbot County gem. Thank you, and please pass that thanks on to Captain Tom for us as well. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, he's very sorry he's not here. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, like my colleague said, you know, when people come to Talbot County, you know, on the bucket list, it's the Bellevue Ferry. That's for sure. And we really appreciate all you've done for us. So anything we can do to help you, we're always here for you. That's for sure. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
It's our pleasure.
yep, it's our pleasure too. So Ms. Melky's got a proclamation for you. You want to come on up?
Just so honored to present this to you.
One, two, three. There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a request from the school, Talbot County Schools. You want to come on up, Sarah? Yeah? Do a transfer? How you doing?
Doing good, thank you.
Good.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for getting us on the agenda tonight. Our board met Thursday night in response to our final budget appropriation. We did some rebalancing so that we could fit all of our important priorities into our FY24 budget. And part of the way we were able to do that was, besides cutting some cost, shifting some cost to grants, was to hopefully put some things in our FY23 budget that we would be able to prepay for next year, using some of the savings we had from vacancies in our instructional salaries category. So I don't know if there's a slide on this, or do you have the slide in Granica so you can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you can see that we have savings in our instructional salaries category. We'd like to use $830,000 from those savings among a few different categories. At the end of May, we really were only overspent in one of our categories, which was administration. We had some higher than expected legal bills or higher than budgeted legal bills. But we have some, bills coming in the month of June. And then over the course of the summer to kind of finish out the year. So what we'd like to do is transfer $40,000 into the administration category to cover those legal costs, as well as we have some final bills coming in for copier leases and a little bit of consulting that we'd like to do. Under textbooks and instructional materials, we'd like to incur $180,000 to prepay certain software subscriptions that were originally in next year's budget, but we have the wherewithal to encumber those funds this year. The same thing under other instructional costs. We wanted to prepay certain software licenses. We have a couple new things we wanted to put into place starting next year. We've been looking at replacing a learning management system, which is how the kids, students, teachers, everyone interfaces, how grades are counted. We just feel like we need to sort of strengthen some of our systems for that to capture the metrics we need to be doing, the measuring we need to be doing to measure our progress against our goals and report back to the state on blueprint goals. We wanted to transfer $400,000 into transportation cost. The majority of that is to prepay bus leases for next year. Not all of them, but a pretty significant amount of them, about $269,000. And then finally, we will by the end of this year have overages in our fuel bills. I mean, when we set our budget, we did not anticipate what fuel prices were going to be for this year, and just had some smaller overages in repair. That's a category that can fluctuate from year to year. It just kind of depends on what goes wrong with the buses. This wasn't the best year for that. And then finally, we're requesting to transfer $110,000 into operation of plant. We would like to, and have been trying to get some quotes for replacing 3 rather old vehicles that our maintenance staff uses. They're 15, 14, 13 years old, and they just are beyond their useful life.
Okay, that's good. All right, council discussion. Keisha? Okay, good. Okay. Yep.
I just have several questions about why this is being presented now, and why it wasn't presented at budget time as a consideration, and why it was presented to the council on Monday with this explanation. Because frankly, I don't have enough time to do my due diligence on this request.
Sure. Well, I do think that I know in some letters we wrote to the council when we were notified of the budget bill as it was proposed. In response to that, we wrote a letter asking the council to consider some additional factors for the FY24 budget, and we said we feel there are some things we could prepay, and these are some things that were specifically mentioned in that letter. And I did notify council staff on May 31st that I wanted to probably get on the agenda tonight, but I absolutely agree. Our board did not meet until Thursday evening to pass these. We actually had to squeeze in a special meeting of our Board of Education to, first approve these. And so it was sort of, we got your appropriation on June 1st by letter. So we took that and we had to cut over $1 million. So, it took we can't really propose, because a lot of this is tied to the FY24 budget, we felt it was appropriate to wait until we got our final FY24 budget plan figured out before coming back to you and saying, here's what we think we can absorb in the FY23 budget. So that's the timing.
I guess I just don't understand why you mentioned that you had $830,000 in available funds from instructional salaries that you originally proposed, and now you don't need that, you want to apply it to something else. That's what I don't understand.
Well, we do a financial report every month at our Board of Education meeting that's, public. It's on our website. I believe we have a liaison with the county council, and I give a report every month, and I've been saying, I anticipate having savings in the instructional salaries catalog for many months. So it's not, so I've been reporting it in that way, to the general public.
Okay.
I do recall that last year we saw some of these categorical transfers in August, and while I do appreciate yes, this feels like short notice, that you are in fact getting this accomplished before the end of the fiscal year, and that is the way it should be done, and so thank you for what scramble it took to make this happen in that kind of timely fashion. I do, really it seems that, the savings in instructional salaries looks like an unfortunate thing, because it meant that that's a bunch of faculty that you weren't able to hire, and undoubtedly that had some impact, some classroom impact. That said, the use of these funds in prepaying expenses is something that this council does, and I think is a prudent way to manage the district's finances, and just as they are for the county. there are some opportunities to affect savings in that way. So it is really good to see that there's actually less line-to-line transfer and more of this able to go into those prepaid expenses for the next fiscal year in this particular request. So I'm pleased to see that aspect.
Okay.
Nothing, Mr. President, thank you.
Okay. Any other thing? Any other questions or anything? Okay. Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the categorical transfer.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, we got a motion second to approve the FY23 budget transfer. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
I'm going to abstain.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is introduction to an administrative resolution. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read that, please, into the record?
Administrative resolution to provide that legislative sessions of the County Council of Talbot County, Maryland shall start at 5:00 p.m.
Okay.
Do you want me to read the entire thing or just the caption?
Just the caption's
Okay.
fine. Yep. Okay. Open to the floor. Any discussion? Okay.
Well, you know,
Yep.
the I think that there may be some good reasons to do that. My understanding when this idea was introduced to me was that we would be doing this just for the course of the summer, and this as it's drawn up is not sunset. So if we're going to go back to the usual schedule come fall, that's going to require further
Sure.
council action to do. Not that that's any more difficult than doing this tonight. I think my sole concern is the convenience to the public and our accessibility to the public. Will this make us less accessible? Will it make it more difficult for some folks to be able to attend our meetings? I did put this out on my my social media site on Facebook. I got just one comment to that effect, but not other traction. So it did not at least arouse howls of protest. That may just be that nobody looked at this because I didn't include a picture. I don't know. But that would be my principal concern with making the change.
Okay. Okay.
I concur with Councilman Lesher in terms of what this does to our constituency and to residents of the county, being able to participate in watching this, whether they watch it on TV or whether they come here and want to make a comment. I think 5 o'clock is too early for the working class in Talbot County, that it should remain at 6 o'clock, so people do have the option to get off work, go home, get ready, watch it, or decide to come here. I hear what Councilman Lesher says about he only got one reply on his social media, but I don't know if this is sufficiently known by the community about this change of time. So I'm going to vote in opposition to it.
Okay.
So I just, want to add that during the summer, months, we know that this has been done probably 2 councils ago. I believe that was the last time that they adopted an earlier time. But we also know a lot of people and individuals are on vacation during the summers too, and less attendance at the meetings. And for that purpose, although the administrative resolution does not state that it's just for the summer, on the record it is just for the summer, and in the fall we will go back to our 6 p.m. meeting time.
Yep. And that was appreciate that.
So-
That was the.
Do we need an amendment to the resolution if
No.
that's the case?
Just have to do another
No,
administrative.
we just got to do another. So the whole intent was, like Keisha said, that the intent was to try to give people during the summer time to go on vacations and do their own thing. And another big part of it is staff and us. And not only us, but you guys too. So, you know, when you really think about some of these meetings that we have, it really is a lot on all of us. And, you know, we all have families, and it is nice to get out of here at a reasonable time, not at 8, 9 o'clock at night. So, you know, I took that into factor too, and when I brought this up to everybody, because I want everybody to, you know, have a normal life in the sense of going home at 6:30 and have dinner with your family. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's what I was really thinking that would be best for all of us. And not only that, when I first got into office, we had, you know, meetings for years at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, you know, that in itself was tough. Everybody's got jobs. I didn't think it was quite fair that everybody would be there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was hard on everybody just to make those meetings. But with this shift in an hour, I think it's appropriate, and I just think it's the better thing to do for the value of all of our time. Because in the evenings and everything, it's nice out. Everybody wants to go home. Maybe some people want to have a cocktail, but you know that's what we want to do. So I think that's the better way to go. Mr. Stepp, what do you think?
I'll be in support of the matter.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. We got a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Nay.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on. Another administrative resolution. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read that into the record, please?
Administrative resolution adopting a social media policy for Talbot County, Maryland.
Okay.
Mr. Council President,
Yeah.
if I might
Absolutely.
share some thoughts as Sarah comes forward. So tonight, you're considering the adoption of a social media policy, but this is a portion of a communication initiative which is designed to improve public communications enhance transparency broadly, from the council through the county government to the public. And this involves the additional information releases on a regular basis, updating our web presence, coordinating and expanding our social media presence. And it's all under the leadership of our new communication manager, Sarah Kilman, who's here this evening. So it's a good thing. Sarah, we'll hand it over to you to give a little presentation to council. Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome, Sarah.
Hi guys, welcome. Hello. So just for the record, my name is Sarah Kilman and I am the Communications Manager and the Public Information Officer, which is considered the PIO for Talbot County. I'm working out of the Office of the County Manager. My primary role in this position is to provide effective and efficient communications for the county. Social media is a valuable tool to assist in this directive, which is why I'm coming before the council today to explain our current progress on this front and request approval for our social media policy. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was just to share an overview of our current communication objectives. So I've listed them out here. The first one is to increase communication awareness with citizens, build awareness around issues, provide communication outlets during crisis, provide a feedback loop for citizens to communicate with the county, and engage with each other in civil discourse, and increase accessibility for underserved populations, such as people who do not have access to laptops, etc. So in order to achieve these objectives, we need to be able to reach residents effectively. Our media matrix, or essentially the puzzle pieces of our communication strategy, currently include press releases and website content. Currently, if the county has news to share, it is posted to our county website under news and updates, and it is often put on the homepage at talbotcountymd.gov towards the bottom of the page. Information is also shared as needed to local news outlets, including the Star Democrat. Launching social media, specifically Facebook and LinkedIn at this time, will allow our county to expand its reach to more citizens of our community and provide timely updates. Eventually, we also plan to include other types of communication, including text alerts, email alerts, and email newsletters. Currently, 16 out of 23 Maryland counties maintain at least one social media account for their government and subsequent departments. 14 out of 23 counties maintain more than one social media account. And if you want the big whopping number, the Maryland government also recognizes the importance of social media and has a whopping 89 Facebook accounts across their different departments. So where are we in this process? So currently we're in that P1, which is called phase 1. And that is establishing a social media policy and picking software that will assist with planning, scheduling, posting, and monitoring content across our channels. Then we will officially launch our Facebook and LinkedIn channels. We will also be launching a Flickr account, and this is known as phase 2. Currently, several departments within the county already have a social media presence or use these other communication tools. These departments include Easton Airport, Emergency Services, Hogneck Golf Course, Parks and Rec, Economic Development, and Tourism. DES also has a text alert system in place for weather and emergency events. This totals in 17 total accounts across different platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Flickr, and Twitter. These department-specific accounts have been proven to be effective in reaching their target audience and should continue. Our intention here is to launch a county-wide social media presence that will encompass all departments and support and share their content as needed to reach a broader, generalized audience. In addition, the software we will use will become available for communication managers across different departments to reduce overall cost and promote further collaboration. Once we've launched our countywide social media, we will begin the process of sharing software resources across departments. Finally is phase 3, which is reporting. Once we've launched Facebook, LinkedIn, and Flickr, we will evaluate the need for additional social media accounts such as Twitter or Instagram and begin to take a look at reporting and analytics. Reporting will allow us to identify if we are effectively reaching our residents through social media and show progress towards our communication goals. So I also wanted to give you guys a quick overview on our branding guidelines and show some visual examples. So the branding guidelines shown here, there's 3 different screenshots here. They will help our communication across social media channels and other outlets to stay consistent. With consistent branding, residents will be able to quickly identify if they're looking at something from Talbot County. These guidelines were created from our county seal and pre-established designs on our website and other material. It's a little hard to see on the projector, but we're using the purple and the red from the county seal, and we've added some additional shades of those colors as well. So here's a couple examples of how we can communicate via social media. On the left side, there's an example of 2 announcements. One is an example of posting about an upcoming hearing. The bottom is talking about the county offices being closed, maybe for a weather emergency. In the middle, there's 2 examples on how press releases could be shared on social media. And then finally on the right, the bottom right, there's an example of how department-specific content could be shared from the county-wide account. So the example here is a Parks and Rec announcement on seasonal pool openings. This could have been shared on our county-wide social media for individuals who do not necessarily follow the Parks and Rec page, but still may want to use the pools. So finally, I just wanted to share an overview of the types of content we will share on our county social media. There are 4 pillars so anything that we do will lead back to these 4 pillars. We have emergency alerts, encouragement and entertainment, education, and then finally events and news. So anything we post should be able to link back to those 4 pillars and should be working towards our social media objectives. That's all I got for you guys. You have any questions?
Okay, council? Keisha?
No, I think it's great. I love it. I mean, I really do. I love the branding. I love that you have, the colors, because that is very consistent when you go from platform to platform, making sure that it's recognizable. So I just love it. Thank you so much.
I agree. I think it's a great idea. I think it's long needed, and the job that you've been doing for us so far has been great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very encouraged to see this, and thank you for taking us to this next level. I'm going to break my rule and ask you a question that I haven't prepped you for in advance, and I apologize for that now. But could you update us on where we are on the county's #1 communications complaint, which is our website and the reconstruction of that?
Yeah, it's absolutely a great question. So currently right now I'm doing an audit to look at our current website and see where we can make some small improvements. An example being like putting the news on the homepage. If you've been on the homepage recently, you'll see that big updates are announced at the bottom of the page. In terms of a full-on rebrand, full redo of the website, that is certainly a little bit further off. But with our new director of technology information systems, we've been working together to kind of start to have that conversation and figure out the best way to approach it.
Thank you.
Sarah, I'll echo what everyone else has said. I mean, this is long overdue. We're blessed to have you. You've been doing a wonderful job, and can't thank you enough. So looking forward to it.
Yep, good job, Sarah, that's for sure. Okay. All right, okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to go ahead and start this new web.
Adopt the social media policy.
Adopt the social media, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Callahan?
Yep, aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, good job, Sarah. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda, an introduction on number resolutions. Madam Secretary.
A resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan to reclassify and remap certain real properties located at 24679 Yacht Club Road and 24781 Yacht Club Road, St. Michaels, Maryland, shown on tax map 23 as parcel 98, lot 1 and lot 60, respectively, from unprogrammed to S1 immediate priority status.
Okay, Mr. Clark, do you want to come on up? Just go ahead.
The
Yep.
council, we received an application from the property owner.
Could you go ahead,
I'm
Ray?
Ray Clark, county
Yep.
engineer. Council, we received a application from the property owner to reclassify 2 parcels that are owned by that property owner. She is right off of Yacht Club Road. We extended sewer into Yacht Club Road about 2 to 3 years ago, so there is infrastructure there for her to connect to. Once we can move forward with, I guess, if this moves forward as an introduction, we would then take this to the Planning Commission, Public Works Advisory Board for their review, and then Planning Commission's consistency of with the comp plan. So.
Okay, that's great, good. Mr. Thomas, you want to say anything, or you good?
Nothing further to add.
Okay, okay. All right, all right, at this time, want to raise your hands if,
Just one question, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a Mr. Clark question or somebody else, but it is my understanding that this property is under easement and is not subdividable, and therefore cannot result in the construction of new homes because of the accessibility of sewer. This would just serve
It would only serve these 2 lots, correct?
these 2 lots only.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Musser. Okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, show of raise of hands, introduction.
So by council?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and,
This will be known as Resolution Number 343. And the public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 11th at 5:30 PM.
July what?
11th?
11th? Okay. All right, great. Okay. Okay. All right. Next, Madam Secretary?
A resolution to adopt a temporary moratorium on the processing, review, and approval of applications, site plans, permits, and other authorizations for the location, construction, and/or operation of businesses engaged in growing, processing, and/or selling cannabis for a period of 9 months to allow the county sufficient time to enact reasonable, thoughtful, and lawful zoning requirements and other regulations pertaining thereto as deemed necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, you wanna speak about that?
Thank you. This resolution was requested by Councilmember Milky. The Maryland Cannabis Reform Act goes into effect on July 1st. Obviously, it does a great number of things, but one of the things it does is give local governments the ability to impose zoning and other regulations regarding adult use cannabis. The county currently does not have any regulations pertaining to adult, non-medical adult use cannabis. So this moratorium would give the county time to consider and then enact regulations that would comply with the new laws.
Okay, okay.
I would also note that some of the municipalities in Talbot County have also enacted or are considering similar moratoria.
Right, right, exactly. Council, discussion?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I just think that this is a good idea to have the temporary moratorium because I think it, you know, all the counties have to really get up to speed in regards to the cannabis legislation, and I don't think any county is ready right now
Yeah,
for
I
this to
agree.
take effect July 1.
Yep.
So I think this is a step in the right direction so that we can prepare
Right.
accordingly.
Yeah, and I agree. I think as a county, we're not alone in proceeding with this. And of course, we've got St. Michael's and Oxford, and I believe Trapp is also considering a moratorium as well. So we all need to be on the same page and make sure that we're doing this the correct and safe way for the public.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, the purpose of this, of course, is for us to put the appropriate zoning into place. I wonder whether 9 months is really excessive for that purpose. We've managed to enact legislation on new zoning issues with all the attendant reviews and public notice in less than 6 months. And even in that time frame, we could. I believe we've learned that although the state law takes effect on July 1st, no state licenses would be issued for consumption facilities before January 1st. So it seems to me that we have time to accomplish this with or without the moratorium.
Okay.
And I do believe that we should be doing the appropriate zoning. I just don't know that we need this moratorium in order to accomplish the purpose.
Okay, no problem. Yep. Okay. So, Madam Secretary, let's see here now. Let's do,
Show of hands.
yep, show of hands. Yep.
So by Misters Stepp, Callahan,
Mhm.
Melky, and Ms. Melky, Ms. Haith.
This will be known as Resolution Number 344, and the public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 11th at 5:30.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Council. Next on the agenda is introduction of legislation.
And to be clear, we've removed the first item under that introduction of
Yep,
legislation.
uh-huh, yep.
You want me to read them all, or read one at a time and have Ms. Sparks give a brief explanation, or how do you want to do that?
I think,
All, please.
what's your thoughts?
All, please.
Yep, let's read them all.
Okay.
Okay.
A
Follow
bill-
down the line.
At once.
A bill to amend Bill numbers 1393, 1452, and 1480 to amend the appropriation for the development of the Frederick Douglass Park on the Tuckahoe, located at 13213 Lewistown Road, Queen Anne, Maryland.
Okay.
Hold on. A bill to amend Bill number 1516 for the purpose of amending the appropriation for improvements to and expansion of the St. Michael's branch of the Talbot County Free Library. A bill to authorize improvements to the Talbot County Detention Center. A bill to amend Bill numbers 1424 and 1486 for the purpose of amending the appropriation to purchase improved or unimproved real property for future county purposes. A bill to amend Bill number 1488 for the purpose of amending the appropriation for the upgrade or replacement of the wastewater treatment plant at the preserve at Y Mills. A bill to amend Bill number 1187 for the purpose of authorizing the appropriation for extension of water and sewer lines to the proposed University of Maryland Shore Regional Medical Center Hospital site located between Longwoods Road, Maryland Route 662, and US Route 50 in Easton, Maryland. A bill to amend Bill numbers 1484 and 1509 for the purpose of amending the appropriation for a capital project for the construction of emergency medical services stations. A bill to authorize improvements to and expansion of the Chapel District Elementary School. A bill to authorize the construction of and improvements to a driving range complex at the Talbot County Hogneck Golf Course. A bill to amend Bill number 1460 for the purpose of amending the appropriation for a gymnasium addition to the Talbot County Community Center. A bill to amend Bill number 1506 for the purpose of authorizing the appropriation for improvements to county roads. A bill to amend Bill number 1505 for the purpose of authorizing the appropriation for replacement of the 911 Division Computer-Aided Dispatch CAD system. And a bill to authorize replacement of the roof at the White Marsh Elementary School.
Okay. Martha, you have anything to add to it? No. Okay. Mr. Thomas?
I have nothing to
Yep.
add.
Okay, okay. Council?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, okay. We want to go ahead and raise our hands and introduce?
So, do we want to do these one at a time? Which ones we're introducing?
Yes.
You, okay.
Who's
One at a
sponsoring what?
time?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Start there.
Since they've all been read.
Okay.
So, how do you,
So,
Yep.
we
You
want
wanna
to start with
you wanna
the,
start with
Yeah.
the first one?
First one.
with,
Okay, all right,
Bill
for Bill
Frederick Douglass
1339.
Park on the Tuckahoe?
Yes.
Mhm, Yep,
Okay.
show of hands,
yep.
all right. So by council,
Mhm.
And appropriation for improvements and expansion of the St. Michael's branch of the Talbot County Free Library.
Also by council.
Improvements to the Talbot County Detention Center.
Also by council.
Appropriation to purchase improved or unimproved real property for future county purposes.
So by council members Stepp, Lesher, Callahan, and Milky.
I just have a question. What, property is that? Do we have a specific property? I don't recall.
I believe this simply, this is not identified a property, this is,
Just to authorize, okay. Okay, got it.
Yep.
All right.
Replacement of the wastewater treatment, upgrade or replacement of the wastewater treatment plant at the preserve at Y Mills.
so by council.
Sewer lines, extension of water and sewer lines to the proposed hospital site.
Introduced by council.
Capital project for the construction of emergency medical services stations.
Introduced by council.
Authorize improvements and expansion of the Chapel District Elementary School.
It's introduced by council members Stepp and Callahan.
Construction improvements to a driving range complex at Talbot County Hogneck Golf Course.
Introduced by council.
Amending the appropriation for a gymnasium addition at the Talbot County Community Center.
Introduced by council.
Authorizing the appropriation for improvements to county roads.
Introduced by council.
And authorizing the appropriation for replacement of the CAD system, 911 CAD system.
Also introduced by council.
And the replacement of the roof at the White Marsh Elementary School.
Introduced by council.
Okay. These will be known as bill number 1531 through 1543. And the public hearings will be held on Tuesday, July 11th at 5:30.
Should there be an explanation of these bills to the public? What purpose, why, as a result of the budget?
Do we want to do?
You can do that if you'd like.
At the end?
Aren't they
What'd you say?
aren't they on the website?
They will be, now that they've been introduced.
So the bills are introduced. If you want to go back and go through for an explanation tonight, we can do that, or we can do it at the public hearing as,
I mean, just as a result of the budget, this is step 2 as a result of our budget being
the
adopted.
process.
Yes.
Yeah, so these were included, the discussion was included in the FY24 budget process. It's part of our capital improvement program. These are projects, some of which were ongoing, some of which are new. They were approved in the budget. However, these specifically are called out, and they are presented to the council, adopted through a bill process, which gives the public the ability to hear about these projects and take exception to the projects individually if they would like to. So it follows the bill adoption process. And once it goes through that process of introduction tonight, the public hearings in July, the project, if they make it through the process, wouldn't be able to be initiated until approximately September 20th. And I would yield to Martha and or Patrick for any additional information that I may have left out.
Thank you, Mr. Stamp.
I think that covers it, what is in the charter, the
Yeah.
process.
I just wanted the public to understand the process and exactly what we're doing when we're running down a bunch of bills. It's good for the public to understand the process and exactly what we're doing as public officials.
Okay, good.
And as I recall, this is not the final authorization, but there would still be a bid award
Public.
for each of these
That is,
down the pike.
yeah, it
Correct.
still has to follow our purchasing, our procurement policies.
Thank you.
We're good?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, we're good. Okay, next on the agenda, we got eligible vote.
Well, we have one more bill for introduction, but
Oh,
it
we do?
wasn't capital enabling.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
A bill to amend Chapter 190 of the Talbot County Code, zoning, subdivision, and land development, Sections 190-25-2, Table of Land Uses, Section 190-29, Commercial Uses, Section 190-29.7, N, and Section 190-78, Terms Defined regarding historic inns.
Raise a hand.
For, what, I'm sorry?
Mr. Thomas?
Yes,
Yep.
so this bill was requested by Council Vice President Lesher. It was initially requested by Brendan Mullaney on behalf of Rolls Range Partners LLC. This amendment would permit inns operated within historic structures in the county's conservation districts by special exception. The council initially considered this in June of 2022, voted to send it to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission considered it and offered a recommended approval in September of 22. So now it's come back before the council for
Okay.
introduction, public hearing, and a vote.
Okay.
Do you need a motion or anything?
I think we're just
raise
showing
our
hands
hands.
to
Show of
introduce.
hands. Yep.
So introduced by council.
This will be known as Bill Number 1544, and the public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 11th at 5:30 PM.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Secretary. So go to eligible vote now.
Bill Number 1530, a bill to address remaining comments and conditions of approval imposed by the Maryland Critical Area Commission, the Commission, for Bill Number 1525, a bill to amend Chapter 190 of the Talbot County Code, zoning, subdivision, and land development regarding the expansion of structures utilized for nonconforming uses, subject to certain conditions.
Okay, thank you. Discussion?
I'll confess that I'm a little torn on this one. I did oppose the initial legislation last fall before it went to the Critical Areas Commission. The Critical Areas Commission comments required here would certainly be an improvement on the bill. I certainly worry about where else this could be applied and whether 3,000 square feet as a limitation is potentially too much and potentially damaging to rural character in some potential locations. But the Planning Commission's unanimous recommendation does weigh in its favor, and I think in the end I'll be swayed to support this.
Good.
I just want to note that, this merely adds language to make this change, and it was required by the Critical Area Commission. And as Mr. Lesher noted, the Planning Commission did vote unanimously to approve. So I support fully this bill as it allows for small business to expand.
No comment.
Good. Okay. Madam Secretary, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to move forward with Bill 1530. Can you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayth?
Aye.
Sounds great. Okay. All right, next, play stuff.
Okay, council, thank you. Under County Manager report this evening, I have a number of requests for your appointments to committees and boards. The first is the Airport Board requesting the reappointment of Rudy Strickland to serve on the Airport Board.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayth?
Aye.
The next is involving the Commission on Aging, requesting the appointment of Carrie Oddie. community health nurse supervisor from the Talbot County Health Department to serve on the Commission on Aging to replace Kate Stenton, who is retiring at the end of June.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Next, we're requesting the reappointment of Mr. Ted Bouts and Mr. Ken Kozel to the Economic Development Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And next, requesting the reappointment of Benny Manger to the Golf Board.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Next, the Town of Oxford is requesting the appointment of Mr. Tim Kearns to complete the unexpired term of his wife, Kim Kearns, set to expire July 1st of 2025. Requesting the reappointment of David Adams, at-large member, to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And finally, asking council to appoint or reappoint Mr. Dan Billingsley to the Public Works Advisory Board, the 4th District.
I'll move for the appointment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And we'll invite Preston Pepper, your Director of Parks and Recreation, up. He has 2 items for you this evening. I'll start off, hand it off to him, and then I'll fill in as necessary. Preston's here this evening. The first item is a request from the Department of Parks and Recreation to award a change order bid number 2215, Talbot County Community Center Gymnasium Edition, 10028 Ocean Gateway, Easton, Maryland. As you read in your agenda packet, Department of Recreation and Parks is requesting council approval to award a change order Wheeler Construction in the amount of $89,099.46 to comply with the Life Safety Code, which is required by State Fire Marshal. And I'll let him fill in the detail there.
So this is basically when the fire marshal went through with the plans and we needed to add one more door. What it did was it had added about 113 square feet to a vestibule in between the existing building and the new gymnasium, which resulted in about a $90,000 increase. This still puts the project within budget.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's something that he didn't see when he was looking at the plans the first time.
So what happened is, if you recall, we actually put this project out to bid while we were finalizing the permitting process because it was taking so long.
Right.
So when it was completed, the fire marshal, I believe, is the last person to take a look at everything, and then it got discovered at that point.
I got you. All right. So we can't rebuild them.
No.
Okay. Okay, that's good. All right. Is there a motion?
Motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Motion to award the change order for bid
Okay.
number 22-15.
Okay, we got a motion second to go ahead and award the change order. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And Preston has another ask of council, a recommendation to extend the contract with ATC Corporation for pickleball courts at Talbot County Community Center. And I'm just gonna let you go ahead and explain the rest.
So ATC is the American Tennis Company. They actually changed their name to ATC Corp. They're actually constructing the pickleball courts themselves. That bid was awarded previously. That was for just the actual pickleball playing surfaces. They are actually able to do the concrete work that goes around it. So the request was that they go ahead and complete that since they're out there working already right now. And that again is still within budget. This, if you recall, this is part of a state grant with 100% reimbursement.
And the number for that is $109,880. And again, it is within the grant.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
No.
Motion to extend the contract to ATC Corp. for the pickleball court.
With the second.
Okay, motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Haith?
Aye.
Preston, I would like to say that it's looking terrific. I mean, those big trees that you just put out there, I mean, that whole thing looks fantastic.
And we were lucky enough, we actually got a really good price on those.
Yep.
We put
Uh-huh.
in about 15-foot tall cedar
Yeah,
trees
it
to
looks-
add kind of a wind buffer and a noise buffer between
Yes.
the pickleball courts and Route 50. So
Yeah.
it
No,
really
you're-
does
You're
make it
doing a
look.
great job out there. It looks really, really good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have to
Mhm.
come visit.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mr. Preston. Council, the next item I'll ask EMS Division Chief Matt Watkins to come forward. So the Department of Emergency Services, as council may recall, is in partnership with the Talbot County Paramedic Foundation to use donated money from the foundation, county dollars, to buy down the cost of defibrillators, automated external defibrillators. And they're actually requesting the council approve a purchase 36 LifePak CR2 semi-automatic AEDs from Rescue One at a cost of $56,736 using Maryland state contract pricing. 2/3 of that cost will be reimbursed by the county, 1/3 from the Talbot County Paramedic Foundation, 1/3 for the public access defibrillation site. And Matt can fill in the details on this. So thank you, Matt, for being here.
Absolutely, thank you, good evening. I think Mr. Stam covered all the details fairly well. The actual cost to the Department of Emergency Services.
Could you tell?
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Matt Watkins, the EMS Division Chief.
Yep.
So the cost to Department of Emergency Services actually is gonna be $18,912 in total, and those funds will be available in the FY '24 budget.
Okay.
Got better when he started talking.
Yeah, it did. It did. Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Haith?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good job,
thank you.
Matt.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. And I'll ask Rich Setter to come forward, your manager of Hogneck Golf Course. The Hogneck Golf Course is requesting to utilize FY '24 funds to enter a 4-year lease agreement for golf carts. Hogneck Golf Course is requesting council approval to enter this lease with Capital Golf Cars in the amount of $442,400 for a 48-month lease of 70 golf carts beginning in May of 2024. There are sufficient funds in the budget for this project, and Rich will fill in the details with this as well.
So we had 3 bids come in on this
Hey,
club
Rich,
car.
could you tell everybody who you are, please?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm Rich Sutter, head golf professional, Hogneck Golf Course. Very excited to be here. Thank
Good.
you.
We're excited to have you.
I don't get out much. So there was 3 golf car companies that we got bids from. Club Car is the incumbent. Those are the cars we have currently on our lease fleet. We also got a bid from Yamaha and also from EasyGo. Club Car came back with the lowest price. And since they're the incumbent, we've had good service with them in the past, a good working relationship. It was kind of a no-brainer on the decision which company to go with.
Okay, sounds great.
And this just factors into the last 2 months of the fiscal year for next year, because it's not till May of '24,
Gotcha.
so.
I got you. Okay, any discussion about the golf carts?
No.
Okay,
So moved.
okay, we got a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, okay, got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Haith?
Aye.
Okay, good to go.
On a shameless plug, we're in a drought, and none of you have been out to play golf, so you should get out there.
Okay, buddy, thank you.
month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Having a good month.
Thank you, Rich. Next, under County Manager Report, we would invite Dr. DeShield to come forward.
Yes.
We have a request from the Bellevue Passage Museum for a letter of support to the Maryland Historical Trust African American Heritage Preservation Program grant. That should be an acronym. That's long. But as you read your agenda packet, the Bellevue Passage Museum is requesting council approval to send a letter in support. And Dr. DeShields will fill in the detail for you. Welcome, Dr. DeShields.
Yes, hi. Good evening. My name is Dennis DeShields, and we are applying for a grant through the MHT for completion of part of the capital project for the Bellevue Passage Annex.
Okay.
And this would be a $250,000 grant
Yes.
request, and there are no county funds involved.
That's,
Okay.
that's
Well-
even better, isn't it?
It would be great to see Bellevue Passage Museum leverage this important state funding for the development of this museum. So look forward to the further development of this museum, and wish you well, the best of luck with this grant application. So I'll move for that this letter be issued.
Second.
Okay. We got any other discussion?
No.
Okay, we got a motion second to go ahead and give a support letter. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Good
you.
luck. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Shield. Council, that completes your county manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, we'll start off with public comment. I think we got a couple on the list here.
And the first to sign up for public comment tonight is Michael Feely of Easton.
My buddy.
Thank you, council
Yes,
members.
good evening.
I'm Michael Feely, no title, just retired. I'll take as brief as I can to tell you a true story that you guys can help make the end of it either a good story or a horror story. This past Monday, I was sent to the hospital by my doctor. Who cares what for? It makes no difference. The good news is I was sent by a doctor, which means I got a room in the emergency ward that was never meant to be an inpatient room. No light, a gurney, not big enough for a healthcare professional and my wife simultaneously. No ventilation, and that was great compared to the people in the hallway that weren't sent there. They were true emergencies. As the day moved on, I was moved to because I had to spend the night there, I was sent to another room in the emergency room that had a bed in it anyhow. No running water, no ventilation, no window, no chair for a guest to sit in. At no point did I receive less than top-notch professional treatment from everyone in that hospital. They were just absolutely fabulous and doing the best they could with what they had to work with. Why was that way? Why were people being treated in the hallway and staying there all night? Because every room upstairs was booked. I was only there a week, but it took 2 days to get moved, and I guess you have to wait for somebody to die to get their bed. You know, what causes that? It was caused by people like me, who've only lived in the county for 50 years, who decided that I want to live in a development. By council people like you guys who approve things without checking the actuary tables. And that's what I'm asking you to do. No matter what kind of growth comes before you, and it will. There's great growth. If somebody sat here now and said, hey, we need a VOTEC center to train all of these kids to be our craftsmen in all kind of trades when they graduate, I'd be the first one to jump on the bandwagon. And there's also that eyesore on Route 50, but I'm not here to discuss those things. I'm asking you to look at numbers which have no feelings, they're facts. You are charged with my health, with my well-being. You are charged with my safety. So when anybody comes in and says, yes, we'd like to do this, we'd like to do that in this county, you have to say, for how many homes, how many emergency service calls? For 100 homes, how many visits to the emergency room? For every 100 homes, how many admissions to the hospital? For every 100 homes, how many new classrooms? For every 100 homes, how many bodily injury accidents on Talbot County roads? All those things are actuary numbers. You guys have them. So before anybody comes in with their traffic study that's never wrong, I mean, have you ever seen one that really was wrong? They come in with their beautiful models. They come in and they tell people like me, and I bought into that in the past, so I'm part of this problem. They show me their models and they tell me how great it's going to make my life. Before all of that is considered, I'm asking you to say, keep your drawing, keep your traffic study. Let's talk about how many visits to the emergency room this hospital, your 100 homes is going to take. How many cars are you going to put on the road for 100 homes? How many emergency service calls? How many EMT teams are you going to tie up? How are you going to make my life better if I say yes to your plan? So I guess in a nutshell, I'm saying I'm part of the problem because as I've lived here for 50 years, I've wanted more. I very unsuccessfully, I'm pleased to say, campaigned for your office before you guys, some of you were even born. That's how long ago it was. And I wouldn't have considered that because it's not popular, But now I've been on the other side of that. So I'm saying you can make this a happy ending to a book. And you say, wait a minute, before we even talk about this, let's look at these numbers. And let's see what our infrastructure is 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We might have the best hospital in the world when this new one opens. But you guys sitting up there right now may already be filling that hospital to where your family, your friend, or you yourself are going to wind up on a gurney in a hallway because you didn't say for how many homes is all this other stuff going to take. You're responsible for the future. It may be the council after you, but you have to start. Somebody has to start. Somebody's going to die on the parking lot of a hospital. It could be a kid from an overcrowded school that couldn't get on to the road because traffic was so bad. It could be your father, it could be my grandkid, because there was no room to let him in the emergency room. They had to be treated on the parking lot. So I'm just saying, it's a true story. I've lived it, it's not pleasant. I have great, utmost admiration for every human being that I interacted with for a week in that hospital. And I'm going to go back 2 more times in the next few months. And I'm looking forward to the people, Think of the numbers. Numbers are facts. Numbers don't have feelings. Numbers aren't fantasies. I guess maybe you can make them fantasies. But for every 100 homes you're thinking of approving, how many emergency service calls? How many trips to the emergency room? How many admissions to the hospital? How many new classrooms? How many new roads? How many bodily injury accidents can you prevent? And that's all I wanted to come in and talk to you guys about, so thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Michael.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And next is Terrence Bernard, also of Easton.
Good evening, Terrence Bernard. 3 short comments here. The first one is just from the last meeting that I attended, was to make a compliment to this current council here on achieving the budget and hearing the communications from a couple of attorneys. I'm recognizing our faces now, the attorneys, and it was good feedback that it was a difficult situation, a task at hand, but yet they were able to achieve it. So I wanted to just compliment you on that. Second item was, could have been the same meeting or a recent one, is that there's an approval of a bicycle path in Oxford area. And I just wanted to make sure that you prep everyone ahead of time on that now for bicycle legislation, rules, regulations, because I see bicycles this is a county council meeting, but yet I see them just a week ago, 3 at the M&T Bank, driving through the intersection over there, no helmets on, not obeying, following traffic, sidewalks, and it's important. So as you roll out a plan, get the education on there that we do have regulations here for bicyclers. So that was helmets, ride in the roadway, not sidewalks, in the direction of vehicles, and that'll keep them safe. So they won't have to have the EMS out there. The other item, short, I attended the emergency responders awards on Wednesday, and that was very good to see. But I also noticed that in the emergency responders was the police, also police, sheriffs, which is good. And then I'm curious, is there a terminology here that a couple times I spoke that law enforcement is not to use in these years nowadays? So I thought maybe police or public safety would be a good term. So in trying to encourage, before I realized that Sarah was going to come up with this site here, I wanted to comment that I encouraged more to get publicly out there, you know, our public safety officers, men and women, because they're an important part of our community. I did hear in there, I believe it was a Star Democrat. Did I hear a little blurb in there about that? Does that mean that you have to pay the Star Democrat now to get public? Is that how that works? No, you can't answer me. That's right. Yeah, I'm just presenting a situation here. Well, anyways, that's great. You know, I'm glad to see something moving ahead here. And thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. That's all we have signed up in advance for public comment.
Okay. Anybody else want to come on up? Anybody else? Okay. All right, I guess we'll head to council comment. Okay. Start off with you, Keisha.
Starting this way, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I just want to encourage everyone to continue to lift up the Dyer and Larimore family and really pray for our colleague Dave as well.
Yep.
Because I know this meeting was really rough for him to get through tonight. So just want to continue the prayers of the community for those families. And we'll be celebrating Juneteenth on Saturday, so I'll be attending that event. And it's great to be back from vacation.
That's good. That's good.
Here, here. I wanted to recognize the Rural Life Museum of Trapp. Last Saturday, they sponsored Friends and Visitors Day, which I attended, which was lovely, because it's the first time I've been at that museum. They're doing some renovations. They paint a great history of the area. Their motto is building our future by preserving our past. I think it's very important to recognize that, particularly as Trapp faces the threat of de-ruralization presented by the lakeside development. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bless you.
I want to offer my congratulations to the class of 2023. I witnessed commencement at Chesapeake College, at Easton High School, and at St. Michael's High School. All three. These students are our future, and from what I saw and heard at these commencement ceremonies, our future is indeed in good hands. I also want to offer kudos to our 911 center for providing coverage to Caroline County during a multi-day phone outage. I'm sure it was an extra burden on our personnel to be able to do this, and it certainly took some logistical expertise to make this happen efficiently and make sure that people were safe and that emergency responders were dispatched in a timely fashion and to correct locations. And kudos to our emergency services team for pulling that off and helping our neighbors over in our neighboring county.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lesher. Mr. Stepp?
Keisha, thank you for that wonderful prayer to open up today. Sorry, this might take a little bit.
Yeah, you take your time. Take your time.
I just want to thank our entire community for their prayers, for the Dyer and Larimore families. I'd like to thank our first responders, both in uniform and not in uniform. It means the world. And thank you. That's it, Jonathan.
And I'll follow up with that too. It is a sad moment in life, that's for sure. But we can all learn from it, how fragile life is, that's for sure. There's nothing worse than having, young gentlemen hurt or pass away. It shocks the community. And Dave, I'm very proud of you being here tonight. I know it was tough on you. And it just shows the dedication that you've got for that family and what you bring to this community, that's for sure. And that's with all of us. Hopefully we don't have a situation like that again. But what you have to do is make sure when you do have kids or a loved one, you spend the time with them, because life is fragile and things can happen at any minute. And like Mr. Stepp said, we've got some of the finest first responders probably in the world, I should say. Mr. Stamp knows the feeling. I know the feeling. You've been in the fire company for 50 years. I've been in it for almost 40 years. And it takes special people to respond to that, and it takes special people to care for the families of the victims, the community, and we've got good people that do that. I almost believe in this situation last week, every fire company had a part in this. And it was on a bad road in a tight-knit community, too. It was very, very unfortunate. But we have a good system here, and we're all blessed to have it. All we can do is pray for that family, be there for that family, and help them out in the best way that we can do, because that's what it's all about. That's for sure. To be together and be everything else doesn't matter. That's what's great about our community. We sit up here and make bills and make legislation and make rules and regulations, but sometimes I wish we had the power to bring people back, but we don't. So we just have to be very, very blessed and supportive of the community. That's for sure. So, and Mr. Stamp, I want you to make sure that our EMS is well aware of what we appreciate them a lot, and I hope some of them are out here listening to us, and offer that they're the best. That's for sure, because it happened late at night, and everybody else is asleep, and they're out there working hard to save lives, So, but that's enough said. Anything that we can do to help that family, that's what it's all about. Okay. Other than that, you want to go ahead and wrap this thing up for us?
The County Council's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 27th, beginning at 5:00 p.m. The council will be convening an open session at 3:30 p.m. and then adjourning into closed session to discuss real estate, legal, and personnel matters as listed on the statement for closing that meeting. Therefore, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting and reconvene as noted?
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion second to adjourn. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hague?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.